Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at KO-online.com. You know, one question I ask every guest on Everyday Martial Artist is about their favorite martial arts book. And there's never been one quite like Martial Theory by Steve Pearlman, described as the art of war for the martial arts. Martial Theory helps any martial artist or instructor take their understanding and teaching to the next level. And at martialtheoryU.com, you'll find a global community with instructor groups, Q&A with Steve, live events, and demonstrations to help you apply martial theory directly to your training. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Find Martial Theory on Amazon, and when you join martialtheoryU.com, use discount code EverydayMA for 20% off. That's under $20 a month for life. That's martialtheoryU.com, code EverydayMA. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every week, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial art. My guest today is an internationally recognized martial artist, fighter, and coach whose career has spanned over 2 decades at the highest levels of combat sports. He's a 6-time World Muay Thai Champion, 3-time World MMA Champion, a veteran of the UFC 1 Championship K1 and Glory Kickboxing. Born in the UK, he spent several years living and training in Thailand and Australia before settling in Dallas, Texas, where he's now the co-owner and head operations of McSweeney MMA and Performance. With 10 gym locations across the Dallas area, he continues to build a legacy as a coach and mentor, developing world-class fighters while inspiring everyday students to grow in both strength and confidence. He's been married for 15 years as a proud father and even manages his own farm when he's not on the mats. Please welcome my guest today, Mr. James McSweeney. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm great. Thank you very much. It was an amazing entrance there. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. I truly appreciate your time. I know how busy you can be, so let's jump into it. What we do with all my guests, I want to go back to the very beginning. I mentioned, you've been doing this over 2 decades, but I want to know where it started, where that first interest in martial arts came from, kind of what kicked off your martial arts journey.
To be honest, it's really strange for me because I was just a young lad that had just too much energy, and
Nice.
So I was always a lad that had just too much energy, didn't know when to stop, and my family had to try to guide that into something productive, I guess.
Okay, so it was your parents' decision to get you involved in martial arts?
I think it actually come from one of my friends.
Okay.
He started at school. And then, then I just gravitated more towards it. And then, I started to like it way more, as I hit a certain age. When you first start getting into martial arts, it's kind of more just it's a good hobby, right? You're kind of playing, you're having fun, and then you're kind of figuring out as you go. Yeah, so it's kind of tough. So no, for me, it was just more like I had just too much energy, and it was just going to go to the wrong area for myself. So I was involved in all sports, but started off in kickboxing, Muay Thai when I was young, and then it kind of gravitated from there.
So the first school you attended was a Muay Thai school?
It was actually a kickboxing school, and it was in Windsor. I grew up in a place called Slough, which was not the nicest area, but Windsor is a little bit nicer. So it's only about 15-20 minutes down the road, and I used to train at a place called the Kickboxing Academy, and it was owned by a guy called Ian Goulding. And it's kind of strange because I never I have a hard time remembering some of my best friends' names, and but I still remember my first kickboxing coach. So, cool. It's very unique.
Well, it's funny. The only reason I even know the name Slough is because the current TV series Slow Horses with Gary Oldman.
Yep.
Yeah, and it takes place at, they call it Slough House.
Do you remember The Office?
Oh, yeah.
They had the American version, but there was a version in England originally, which was done first, and that was also in Slough.
Oh, okay.
So that's where it kind of got popular from there. Slough Trading Estate, but definitely not the best.
So when you went to that first school, what was it about it? What made you, you took a lesson, you joined a class. What was it about it that drew you in and made you think, man, this is something I got to do. I got to get more of, I got to keep going.
To be honest with you, it was really strange because usually as a kid, 5 or 6 years of age. Usually as a kid, you would kind of think about like, I want to go to a gym with other kids. And there was really no other kids there at this gym. It was more of an adult gym. All I could see was these big guys with six packs, and they were actively kickboxing, right? I mean, back then it was like what you call American style kickboxing above the waist,
Yep.
where you used to wear the foot protection and the shin gear. And these guys were competing as well. And then like I would see them. And then I was just a little lad, right? So for me, it was like, wow, these guys are huge, and these guys are in great shape, and they were tough guys. And then, just watching movies that probably I should have been watching when I was growing up, like Jean-Claude Van Damme and all the rest of it.
Nice. Okay. Once you kept going and we're in class for a while, how long was it before you did your first competition?
I had my first fight when I was like 12.
Oh, wow.
And and then it was just like a semi fight, really. It was, and then unfortunately the opponent I was meant to fight didn't show up. It just, young lad, right? Just didn't make it to the thing, whatever it is. And then I was really upset. There was no one else for me to compete against. So I remember just being really upset. And of course I got my heart set. I think looking back now, it was more probably just the emotion of being so scared of competing. And then when it, you don't want to do it, you're scared to do it. And then when it's being pulled out from underneath you, you really want it now because you're really emotional, right?
Yeah.
So I got kind of upset about it. And then they actually found someone for me to compete against, but he was like 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he was like a mature 16, like he had a little bit of facial hair, and he'd been training for a while, and they were like, "No, you can't put him against. I'm too young, or I'm too little." And I was a little bit of a fat kid when I was young, so they thought I was going to get murdered. And then it started. I closed my eyes. I was so scared.
Wow.
And I threw the best kick I could ever throw, and hit the poor guy on top of the head and put him out. And that was the end of that. And then I was more shocked than I think he was. And then I was just hooked.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There was nothing else I could do after that. That was it. I was all in.
That's actually awesome. Okay. And then how long was it until your next fight? Was it pretty quick?
Yeah, I was fighting quite regular back then at that time anyway. So I just kept it up, and I was just keep competing more and more and more. Then as I got a little bit older, I got more into like lifting weights and trying to get into better shape. Then just kind of really fell into that realm of fitness, training, fighting, wanting to be a fighter, and everything that come with that.
Okay. How long did you stay at that specific school?
I think I was there until I was about 14, possibly turning 15. So I was there for like a good 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
When it came time to leave that school, was there a specific reason? Did you just want something else? Did you move?
I wanted to sing a bit more serious after that. And then, I had different international things of like going abroad and training abroad. And I wanted to just train with bigger and better guys, and progress more. Like even still, these guys were competition guys at that time, which was great. But it was just, above the waist. There was no leg kicks. It wasn't, K1 was starting to come and get more popular in the world at that time. And so I really wanted to start getting into K1, and that was with low kicks. So I was kickboxing with low kicks. So I wanted to get more involved in low kicks, and then I started Muay Thai and doing more Thai boxing and stuff like that.
How did you choose your next instructor, your next school?
To be honest, I don't really... I don't remember exactly how we chose them. I just know they had great fighters there. So it was like, if they produce good fighters, then obviously that's their professional team, right? So that means they're the next level. Yeah. So you go from being like a club training to like you're now fight team training. So that was the next progression for me at that time.
And you said you were fighting quite often. So was kickboxing fairly popular in that area then, or did you have to travel for a lot of the fights?
We had to travel most of England for it, but I mean, England's such a small place. Yeah, it's a few hours drive here and a few hours drive there. It's not so bad, but it was worth it. And the thing is there was a few circuits at that time back then in London and in Manchester and Sheffield and northern parts of England where kickboxing was doing really well and Muay Thai was doing really well and boxing was always really big. So you got opportunities to go and get in. Once you started fighting for these channels, you knew the guys that were throwing shows, and then when they had a show coming up, they would call you and say, "Hey, I've got a show coming up. Would you like to be on it?" And then, it just evolves from there.
At that point now, were you still considered amateur? Were you considered pro?
I turned professional at 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And in other words, it wasn't really meant to. It was just the first time I got paid to fight.
Yeah.
So, and that was in Thailand. So I got paid. So then once that happens, you can never go back, right? So, so that was... that was that.
I was going to ask that. Are the rules the same over there that once you get paid, you can no longer be an amateur?
Well, once you're pro, that's it. You're
Okay.
pro. Yeah, you can't go back to being an amateur once you've been paid. That's there's no way.
Okay. And you mentioned, you said that fight was in Thailand. What led you to Thailand?
Just good opportunities. I mean, one of my friends was getting ready for a fight show in England, and I remember cornering him and helping him. And then there was a Thai guy there that was there doing a demonstration from Bangkok, and he saw me and he had a conversation, and he would be like, I can tell you, I guess I was bigger for my age. He thought I was older than I was. Most Thai kids are quite small, but I was bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an opportunity then to go over through him to start training in Thailand and open up those kind of doors.
So is that when you moved there then?
Yeah, that's when I went over there, trained there for a couple of years, and then just stayed with them, trained. A completely whole new experience. Had no idea about what I was expecting once I went over.
How did you convince your parents to let you move to Thailand?
Difficult, but I wasn't the best at school at that time, and I just think school really wasn't really a good fit for me. So it was like, okay, well, if you're still going to study, if you're still going to do English, maths, and science, and then you're going to train, then this would be a good thing. We went out there, we checked it all out, and then
Nice.
and then and I just stayed out there, lived, trained, fight, and then I come back when I was almost just turning 18.
Okay. So when you first got to Thailand and started training, what were some of the differences you noticed right away compared to how you were training back in England?
Weather, very hot, running way more than I wanted to. You work very hard in Thailand. And even to this day, I think it's been training in Thailand has been watered down an incredible amount compared to some of the more traditional methods of training.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very diluted, if you like.
Yeah.
But you still work incredibly hard. You get in great shape over there. The food's healthy. The food's clean. You're going to work hard. You'll be running for hours in the sun. You're going to do lots of bag work, lots of shadow boxing, lots of sparring. But you don't always learn the most technical stuff over there, right? So, I mean, the same things that I saw over there in the late 1990s, they're still doing to this day.
Oh, wow.
Punch, hook punch, step to the side, kick, step, low kick, high checks, hands too far out. Boxing is not the best. So, the technical side. I mean, I believe that traditional Thai boxing kind of works against each other, as in the fact that you're both playing by the same rules, like two Thais work together, or someone who's trained traditional Muay Thai. And it's not like I'm against it. I think it's a beautiful art. I really love it, and it's a great way to fight. I just never took to it that well. I think I enjoyed boxing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it difficult. It was just very hard not to punch, and single kick, single knees, and then very over clinching. So I found it difficult. But nonetheless, I enjoyed it. It was very hard. Got in good shape, great work ethic. It was it's very good.
So you said when you were a kid you were watching like the Van Damme movies. So did you go over there expecting to like kick trees and stuff? was that in your mind?
But the thing is, you see that kind of gimmick shit all the time, right? Yeah. Like even to this day, you see people cooking these little banana trees, and when you actually kick one or you touch one, you're like, it's a saggy fucking tree. Like, no wonder why it breaks. It's not difficult. They're not kicking them because they're oak trees. They're kicking them because they look the part. They look good to kick, right? Because you're going to kick a tree, it's going to fall down. So it looks like it's going to be a tough thing to do, but it's very easy.
Nice. And you said you came back when you were about 18. How long before you went to Australia to do some training?
Many years. I went straight to the Netherlands. I went straight to Holland to train when I was 18. Well, actually, I was about 19 when I first went to Netherlands. I trained with a very good friend of mine in England. He was a world champion as well, Chris Ballard, and he was already a world kickboxing champion. And we stayed together, we trained together, we lived together, we used to work together. And then, unfortunately, he took his own life.
Oh, wow.
Which was tough. I found him a couple of days after he did it in our house. And then, so I kind of was lost. I kind of lost a training partner. I kind of lost a mentor. I kind of lost, he was a good 8-9 years older than me, so a big brother, if you like, and someone that I was following in the kickboxing world. So I was kind of left. So then I got an opportunity to go over to the Netherlands. I had a fight in London, and I knocked out a guy pretty quick. And some guys that were there were going over to train in the Netherlands, and they invited me to go over there like a management company. And then they opened some doors for me to go over to the Netherlands and train over there. And so I started to do that.
Wow. Okay. And how long did you spend over there?
My whole career.
Oh, really? Wow.
I lived in the Netherlands pretty much from the age of 19 to 28. So I would live there Monday to Friday and come home at weekends.
Wow.
And when I first went to the Netherlands, I didn't really have a gym to train at. So I went to Peter Arts' gym and I trained with him and Rennie Roos at Bertie Copsey's gym.
Mm-hmm.
And then other days we would go to Ivan Hippolyte's gym. And then Andre Menard had a gym at the time with some really good fighters like Roman Bonyansky and stuff were there. And then on a Thursday, we would go to this one gym, Lucien Carbin's gym, FFC and Spa.
Mm-hmm.
Had some really good sparring, and it had like Alistair Overeem, Valentine Overeem, Gilbert Ivel, Tyrone Spong, Imro Main. I mean, the who's who of the kickboxing world at that time, or at this tiny little gym in Amsterdam, just outside Amsterdam Central. So it was a place called DM. So we used to go there and spar, and then I used to get the shit kicked out of me every fucking week. These guys were just, everyone in the gym was Dutch Suriname, which means black.
Mm-hmm.
They're from Suriname, but they're Netherlands. And I'm the only white guy, right? Bald head, tattoos, young idiot from London coming into the gym. It's like the scene from Rocky 4 where he goes Rocky 3 where he goes into Apollo Creed's gym.
Okay.
And everyone stops to look around like, who's this white guy? So it was kind of like that. But so then I once I started sparring with these guys and I just saw the things they were doing and just how easy they would just beat the crap out of me, I was like, wow, I need to be with these guys. I've got to train here. So then I committed and I trained there. I was Revolution all the way through until what was the last fight? My last fight I had with him was probably around 2021.
Okay.
So I arrived in like 1999, so 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the last fight I had with Lucian, and then I staying with my Dutch style. Even I retired last year at 44,
mm-hmm.
but Alistair and we always were good friends, and we partnered up a lot. And I would help him for fights, and he would help me for fights, and we'd go down and see Nicky Hemmers down at Hemmers' gym in the Netherlands, and then I finished my career that way.
Wow. And then, you started with kickboxing and that's how you launched your career. What made you decide to move into MMA instead of just focusing on kickboxing? Well,
I was predominantly Muay Thai. And then, to be honest, at that time, Muay Thai was really paying no money.
Okay.
Right. You're living in a very, poor country and you're getting paid pennies, nothing to fight. And then I would do that. And then, it's like you see the other guys in K1 and kickboxing making great money, driving nice cars. And you're like, wow, okay, well, maybe I have to make a transition. So I went over to K1 and then I went all the way through until about 2007, 2008.
Okay.
And then K1 was slowing down at that time. And then I got an opportunity to go into the UFC.
Okay.
Yeah. So
did they come to you? Did like a manager submit? I mean, how did the UFC find you?
Well, I was asked to go over to be like a sparring partner for Rashad Evans when he was getting ready to fight Forrest Griffin at Jackson's gym. And I said, yeah, I'll go over. I had no other things to do at that time. They were paying me well to go over there. So I go over the train of him. And then after like a week of sparring, me and Rashad, we kind of grew a friendship at that time. And I was helping him a lot. So then they kind of hired me as a striking coach. So Jackson was number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was involved with Mike Winkeljohn and Jackson. And we trained kickboxing together, MMA together. And then I cornered him for the fight. We won the belt. And then before I was set to fly home, I got a phone call from the matchmaker from the UFC at the time and said, there's a reality show coming up. Did you want to be on it? And I was kind of not upset, but I was kind of like, hey, the fuck are you talking about? I'm not a reality star. I'm a fighter. And he's like, no, you misunderstand. It's a fight show. Have you not seen The Ultimate Fighter? And I said, no, I never watched it. Never seen it. But he said, oh, Rashad's got to be on there as a coach. He's your boy, right? You should give him a call. And so I called him and said, like, what is this thing? And he explained what it was. And if you win through the show, you get a contract in the UFC. I said, listen, I don't know nothing about MMA. I watched you in camp. I did kickboxing with you and I did like 2 weeks of jiu-jitsu. What do I know about MMA? And he said, you'll be fine. You'll beat the guys with your stand-up. You just give it a try. You haven't got a tryout, just pass the medicals. I said, okay, well. So 2 weeks later, I was in Las Vegas and I was the first pick. So I was on the Ultimate Fighter show. We did that whole series. I made it all the way through to the finals. And then I got my UFC contract. And then so I'm like, okay, shit, I better start learning this grappling stuff.
That's
Looking
awesome.
back on it, I mean, it was a great opportunity, but looking back on it, it was a really dumb move, right? Because I'm trying to learn a very difficult sport at the highest level, you know? So I
Mhm.
never really gave it the respect it deserved. I thought kickboxing was king until you meet like a Division One wrestler, right? And then you realize, like, oh my God, what is this? And you get murdered.
Yeah.
So, and that's how I found Drysdale. I was in Denver, Colorado, wrestling out there. And then I kept asking all my friends, like, everyone in the industry, like, who's a good jiu-jitsu guy? Who's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world? And then this Robert Drysdale name kept coming up. So I was like, let me look into it. And I was like, oh, he's the same size as me. This is great. He's trained Frank Mir. He's trained all these top guys. I'm like, okay. So I just flew out to Vegas and I walked into his gym and asked him for a meeting. And they pulled him to one side and said, hey, I want you to train me. Can you help me? And we trained together. And then eventually I became his striking coach and he became my grappling coach.
That's awesome. I just realized something. I'm looking through your list of all the fights you've done. I was actually at one of your fights. I was actually a judge at one of your fights. I just realized. Oh, wow. Yeah, you fought. You fought in Fargo, North Dakota, on Chris Tucksher's Crowbar MMA in April of 2011.
Who did I fight?
Francisco France.
Don't even remember.
Yeah, it looks like
it must have been a long time.
It was a loss, so sorry to bring it up, but so yeah, right. But I've actually seen you fight in person. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow, small world.
Yeah, I judged probably about 1,000 fights over a 10-year period. So
what year was that? Do you know?
2011.
2011.
Yep. Yeah, April 29th, 2011.
Wow, that must have been around because the show came out in 2000.
Looks like UFC was 2009. Yeah, 2009, 2010 were the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, and then I was. Yeah, that's really strange. Yep. Yeah, that's small world. Yeah.
Yeah, and UFC 120 was 2010. So it was about a year after that.
I took a fight against Fabio Maldonado on UFC 120.
Yep.
I took it on a week's notice.
That's kind of cool. That's
small world.
Yeah, I know. I look back and there's I've actually interviewed a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of people that got their start in this area, before they went to like the UFC and like people like Brock Larson, who fought in the UFC and the WEC. People like Krzysztof Szosinski. I mean, I judged him back in like 2001, way before he got into the UFC and stuff. So I mean, there was a lot of fighters that came through this area.
That's the thing, right? You're gonna go through that. As you know, it's a big world, but it's a small world in certain aspects, right? And people have to go through certain channels to get to a certain point, right? So it's it's very good. I say it to my fighters all the time now. It's not just about how good you are, of course, that's great, but it's also the channels that you're connected to, because a lot of people have to go through the same channels to get to the same end.
Exactly.
A lot of people start. If you look, I used to fight in Cage Rage in England, in London at Wembley Arena. Everyone fought for Cage Rage back in the day, before they went to UFC. I fought K1 for them and a couple of MMA fights, but everyone went through that realm before they went to the UFC. So there's a big list of different fighters that have gone through the same circles, if you like.
Yeah, wow. Wembley. That's kind of. I mean, how packed was that? Like when they were hosting fights at Wembley?
Oh, it was awesome. I fought Wembley Arena so many times throughout my career, because then I also fought for them when I went and fought for KSW as well, the Polish MMA company.
Okay.
And they also put fights at Wembley Arena as well. So that was always beautiful atmosphere. It's like my hometown, right? So it was always really nice to fight in front of that many people and be there. So it's
cool.
really great.
That's really cool.
Yeah, really, really special.
So what led you down the teaching path? What made you decide that you wanted to become a teacher and a coach?
You know what? It's very weird. And I think God had his hand on my shoulder, because everywhere I kind of went to train as a fighter, within a certain period of time, I would train with certain guys. And I was very lucky to train with some really good level guys. Mm-hmm. And then they would ask me to be their coach, as in, like, can I help? Because I would kind of give them pointers when I was training with them. And then they liked what I said or what I did, I guess. And then I started coaching. So even when I was still actively fighting, I became Robert Drysdale's coach. Mm-hmm. Then I became Frank Mir's striking coach. Then I was helping Vitor Belfort a lot. Matt Riddle, I helped a lot. Forrest Griffin, I trained him for a bunch of fights. Yes, I just got an opportunity to work with different guys. Even when I was at Grudge, I helped Nate Marquardt when he fought a bunch of fights. Shane Carwin. Yeah, just a bunch of different guys. I just they had me in their corner, or I would help them during training.
Wow.
Yeah, and then just lucky enough, they would say like, "Wow, So it was always kind of like, well, okay, it's a separate gift, but it's different, but there's some similarities, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I had a way of describing certain techniques simplistically.
Mm-hmm.
and make it valuable to other people.
Nice. And then what led to the decision to open your own school, and how and why did you choose Texas?
To be honest, it was really strange. So I was in Thailand I lived there for 6 years, and I had 2 gyms in Phuket as well.
Oh.
And then after I left Thailand, I went to Australia, Gold Coast, and I had a gym there.
Okay.
And then when my daughter was getting to like 5 or 6 years of age, it was kind of like, okay, what's she going to do for school now? What's she going to do after for work? What's she going to do for her husband? Like, you know, at some stage, if we're living in Thailand, for example, we're going to stay here now until she finishes school.
Yeah.
What's she going to do for work in Thailand? It's a third world country, right? Who's she going to marry one day? You know, so you have to kind of think a bit more. We lived on vacation for 5 or 6 years, which is beautiful. But now your daughter's getting older, you got to start thinking about more opportunities for her and bigger, you know, things. So all roads are kind of leading back to America. And my wife's family from Michigan, and there's no way I was going to move to Michigan, unfortunately. It was just too cold.
Yep.
And and I'm like, no, that's not for me. So I did a seminar tour when I got back to America, and I was just traveling around. And a guy that used to message me on social media here and there would say, like, oh, James, one of my fighters has got this fight, would you mind take a look for me? And I'll take a look when I had a moment and go back to him. And then he said, I've got this opportunity for you. I know I can tell you're traveling around America, you're looking for a home. I said, have you ever heard of Plano, Texas? And I said, never heard of it. He said, just outside Dallas, and I've got a gym here, and I need to move to California, and I'd like to leave my fighters with a good coach. So, you know, they flew me in, and when I came, the guy was kind of full of shit. The gym was tiny, and he didn't really have any fighters there. It was just kind of trying to pass the debt over to me and get himself off a lease. But so I stayed for a while and checked it out, and I was like, this ain't for me. But in the meantime of being there, I looked at the market research, I looked at all the areas. Like, there was no one really back here with my background. There was no real big facilities. They were like these tiny little gyms. So I found a big location. I got 10,000 square foot. It was empty for like 10 years. So I got that location, and then I went back to Michigan and said, my wife, look, the gym there is no good, but we're going to move there. The school system is really good. There's no crime. It's a real nice area. And within a month, we jumped in the RV and we drove all the way from Michigan with all the family, all the dogs and animals, and we set up shop.
Wow.
I've been here 6 years.
So the schools you had in Thailand and Australia, were you able to leave those to another student, or did they have to close when you left? I
try to keep them running for a while, but to be honest, it's so far away and it's so difficult, especially in Thailand, because everything's cash.
Yeah.
You can't keep track of it. Whereas, like, if gyms internationally in Europe and stuff, you know, it's cash is, you know, everything's done by cards, right? So it's different demographics. So you can keep an eye on your businesses if you have them internationally in Europe, but very difficult in Thailand and stuff like that. So now when I left, I shut my gyms down.
Okay.
And then, I just kind of really concentrated on my gym here in Texas. And then in the last 6 years now, we've really expanded and gone further. And I've opened up my own fight show, and we've gone from there.
Oh, wow. So then how long did it take you from when you opened the doors to where it was, you know, profitable and you were able to basically make money from it?
Well, it was tough because I opened the doors and 3 months later, COVID came. So that was awkward.
Yeah.
But I had a very good lease manager and stuff, and communicated very well. So I was very fortunate. And then we were allowed to open pretty quick here in Texas. So we reopened and got it back together. And so I think within a matter of about 18 months, we were turning a profit. And
nice.
Then now we've been there 6 years, and we've expanded and grown out. And I started my own fight company called Lone Star Fight League as well for amateur fighters.
Okay.
We had our first show a few months ago. We got our next show December 6th. And just trying to give back to the sport, really. That's, you know, it did me so well. I was very fortunate.
Yeah. So think back to when you first started teaching to now, over all those years. What do you think has changed about your teaching style the most?
Just my own personal experiences of growth. Like, you know, when you're learning to fight, you learn what a coach is teaching you, right? Their style, so forth. And you kind of blend it a little bit, but you really stay rigorous regime to like these techniques. And whether they work or they don't work in the fight, you kind of really stay like strict to that. Like, I really want this to work. I want this to do this, and I want this to do that. But then unfortunately, like, a lot of the techniques that you kind of learned at that time didn't work. They weren't working in the fights. So as you get older, you start to think about, and you have more fights and more experience. And I had a lot of fights in kickboxing, MMA, Muay Thai, right? So I kind of found my own way. And then training with other people like Alistair and stuff like that. And you just kind of work about, like, these techniques are good, but you don't use them in the fight. They don't work in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So then now I really build around I teach my fighters exactly what works for us during the fights. This is what works. This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. And this is how it's going to work. So I don't get too caught up in where when I was young, I was being at the early days of teaching. I was pretty much teaching what my coach taught me.
Yeah.
And then, but then as you get older, you kind of really learn to be more like, now I'm going to teach my guys what works.
Okay. And at your gym, what can people expect? If someone wants to come in that has no interest in fighting, what kind of stuff do you have for them?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, to be honest with you, like we have a big gym. We have close to, 500 people here, but
Wow.
I only have a fight team of 10.
Okay. Nice.
So everyone else is either people that want to be fighters or people that are just doing it for the love of the sport, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, MMA, Muay Thai, strength and conditioning and so forth, wrestling. And they just love it because they love the sport and want to have fun, keep in shape but they like it because there's that realism behind it. They know that there's things they see me do in my fights, they're learning it in the class.
Yeah.
So they know if they ever have to use a technique, they know it's been tried and tested.
And I'm looking at the website, and I'll definitely put a link on there. But yeah, very good looking school, and hopefully, I know I'm going to be in Texas in February, but I'm going to be down by Galveston, so a little too far to come visit.
6 hours away, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll get there again sometime. So I'm curious with your life, with the experiences you've had. I mean, any ever thought of writing a book?
I mean, I never say never.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the best writer, so
okay.
I would need someone to kind of help me with that. But I mean, to be honest, when we look back and we go through the stories of UFC, then I went over to ONE FC and fought for them for a bunch. Then I went over to Poland and fought for KSW a bunch, and then all the other fight shows in between. And then I transitioned back to K1 before I retired. I went back to Glory in the Netherlands, which is their official K1 of the UFC of kickboxing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of fights. There's lots of travels, lots of training camps, lots of stories. So there would be a very interesting read, I'm sure.
Definitely. Well, if you decide to do it, let me know. I will definitely promote it and read it myself.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And you mentioned a wife, mentioned a daughter. So do they train in martial arts at all?
My daughter does. My wife never has. No, my daughter does. My daughter's been doing jiu-jitsu, and she started kickboxing when she was like 3-4 years of age.
Nice.
And then, we got her into more jiu-jitsu. And she loves jiu-jitsu and she loves horse riding. So I think jiu-jitsu is probably the best thing I encourage for ladies.
Okay.
She's 12 now, so whenever she gets older and God forbid someone ever tried to do anything to her, she can definitely protect herself. That's for sure.
That's cool. I love it. So over your career, over all your years of training, is there one philosophy that you've developed or learned that is at the top of your list?
I mean, to be honest with you, it's just hard work, right? And consistency. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. And it's kind of cliches, right? It's a no give up attitude. Is that a lot of people nowadays, they want instant gratification. They don't want the hard work. I even get this now with coaches, people that want to come and teach at gyms. They have no real background in the sport, yet they expect to be on the highest wage. Some young lads, like I get some kids that come to my gym and I see that they're like 10, 12 years of age and their dad's got them a sponsorship and they got this and they got that. You're like, geez, why are you doing that? Like, why are you doing that? That's, you're really not doing the kid any favors because once you give them so much so young, they expect it forever.
Yeah.
And then they don't work hard for it. I mean, he's 10 years of age. What's he worked hard for? What's he done to work hard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's not just going to work. Yeah, so it's like, you guys really need to work harder. And that's the thing is that they see the gym and then they see the fight and they just think it was that quick. It was that instant. It was that. And it's just not like that. They just forget that, they may see you have a nice car or a nicer house or whatever. And they just think, oh, I want that. But they don't know what went through to get it. They don't know how hard you trained, what you sacrificed. And I know that's a bit of an old man's kind of thing to say, right? Oh, we worked hard in our day. But I'm sure if you speak, I know you did an interview with Robert. We were just talking about this just recently. But, we didn't even talk about belts back then. Yeah. When I was training with Drysdale, he said to me like, oh, I should have gave you a black belt years ago. And I said, He said, we weren't really even thinking about it back then. There was one. I said, never talked about it. Never even talked about but now it's the first thing you hear people talk about. Yeah. When am I going to get my belt? When am I going to get my stripe? When am I going to get this? When am I going to get that? And it's like, okay, it's great to have these kind of goals. It's great to say, I want to achieve this, but that all comes with hard work and consistency.
Yeah.
That all comes when you reach a certain level or when you get to a certain place. And that's the problem, is that they haven't put the time in, they haven't reached that level, but yet they still expect to have it.
I agree. And one of my biggest pet peeves is I see some of those schools where they have you sign the black belt contract that basically says, you sign this and we guarantee on this date, on this year, you'll get a black belt. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You can't do that.
No, that's not how it works at all. And it's never how it should work.
Yeah.
Because that's just not what we stand for in the sport, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. I really don't, and I don't think I ever will. But that's one of the hardest things that I find frustration with.
Speaking of that, now you said you've been there about 6 years now. Have you been able to bring a student to black belt yet, or you haven't been there long enough yet?
Not me long enough yet, no.
Okay. You looking forward to that? Your first black belt?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some students who've been here for a long time, so so they're on the right path. But that's just not my focus. Is their level. It's the black belt means nothing if you can't, you can wear it, right? But do you represent it? You know what I mean? Like, I should be able to have the confidence to put you in front of anybody, and your level is that level.
Nice.
That's what it really means.
Yes.
I always say to the guys, you should, under ask and not overachieve.
Right.
You should deliver way more than you're asking. You're doing the reverse. You're under delivering and over asking. Like, it doesn't make sense. You do the bare minimum in the gym. Yeah. And, you expect to be that level. And that's the kind of frustration thing. I just think that's where a lot of the sport has changed for a lot of people. And it has for an older generation, someone like myself, is it just wasn't our focus back then. This wasn't my focus. I was trying to be a good fighter. I was trying to learn the best moves I could. I was trying to be the best. And I think because I came from a kickboxing background, which isn't predominantly belt orientated. Right. It really wasn't my thought process. So I just carried that same thought process when I went into jiu-jitsu, when I went into wrestling, when I went into MMA. It wasn't really a belt thing. It was more like, I'm trying to learn MMA. I'm in the UFC. I need to get paid. Yeah. I want to win. Right. I want to win my fight, right? So it wasn't more like, but yeah, I get it. I understand. I got my black belt eventually, and it was a great honor, and I cherish that, and I represent it as best I possibly can. But that's where my frustration lies. I actually had a coach who was a black belt teaching at my gym, and I never gave him his black belt. He got it at another place, and when I rolled with him, I don't, when you roll with people like Robert Drysdale or Frank Mir and Ricky Lundell and Forrest Griffin, these black belts are a certain level. Yeah. I fought against Roger Gracie, high level black belts, right? Yeah. And then you go against a local black belt, and you're like, you're not even a black belt. What are you talking about? This is crazy. And then the first thing he asked me, you've been working for me for like 2 weeks, was when am I getting would you think I'll be getting my first stripe soon? And I said to him, "Man, not under me, you won't be."
A few weeks?
No,
wow.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Wow.
I said, to be honest with you, I would have even gave you a black belt. But if you continue training here and coaching with us, I said, you don't even do warm-ups with your team. I said, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. You have to start warming up with your team. So if you're teaching a class and you're the coach, you warm up with the class. Yeah. You do the bear crawls, the forward rolls, the cartwheels. You go for all the logistics of the warm-up. I can't stand going to a gym and you see the coach just standing there doing nothing and just ordering everyone around with his belly hanging out and barking the orders.
I've seen that, unfortunately. And I've seen that not just MMA, I've seen that at traditional martial arts schools and everything.
Yeah, well, he didn't like it. And within 48 hours, he handed his notice in and left.
Wow.
No, it's better he does that. Because he's not going to last in my gym. Yeah. He's not going to last in my coaching staff. I want my coaches. They don't have to come to me being the best coaches in the world, but I would like them to want to be the best. And then we can help them grow. We'll all grow together. We'll all learn techniques. We'll have problems. And we'll say, hey, do you know how to fix that? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Well, then let's stay and fix it. Then we'll just stay in the gym and we'll fix it. We'll find the solution. We'll find the outcome.
I like it. That's great.
So I don't need you to know every answer to every question, but I want you to have the will and the drive to figure it out.
Right. No, that's good. That's great. That's great.
So that's this kind of mindset of my coaches and all the people that I hire at my gyms are either fighters or former fighters. I can't have someone teaching people how to, you can't teach my daughter how to swim if you've never swum. You can't swim yourself.
Right.
So you can be a theorist, but I need a practice group.
Yeah, good. How about a worst martial arts related injury?
To be honest, I was quite fortunate. I mean, I lost vision in one of my eyes for a few months.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of really strange. Yes. I was in Australia when that happened. Yeah. Happened during one of my fights and just halfway through the second round, just completely lost vision in one eye.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what it was down to. I to this day, we never knew. It came back, and it came back perfect. Very, very strange. I did eye exams, but I mean, just more silly stuff. I broke my nose a bunch of times. I broke my eye socket. I broke my metatarsals in my hands, broke my knuckles. Tore I had about 30 stitches in my shin bone because that tore from clashing shins. Nothing real bad. Broke a couple of ribs. Nothing really bad. Just more surface stuff. It looks messy, but nothing that would actually cause you to be in deep problems. So my brain was always good, and I like to think to this day I don't sound too punch drunk or nothing. I can still put a few words together, so I'm actually quite happy about that.
Okay, I was just reading through the Lone Star website, and it says you also do kickboxing events, not just MMA. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we do kickboxing, MMA, and we do grappling matches during the day.
Okay,
jiu-jitsu tournament. Yeah.
I know that's one thing. Over the 4.5 years of my podcast, I've interviewed a handful of people, and it sounds like there really is a push going on to bring back kickboxing in the U.S. to make it as popular as it was in like the 70s and 80s.
Well, I think it was pretty popular up until the 90s. And then when UFC started to get more on board and get popular in like 95, 96.
Yeah.
And then I think it started to take a backward turn. The last K1 champion I think you guys had was Michael McDonald.
Yep.
He was actually from Canada. But I was meant to fight Mirko Cro Cop, and then McDonald fought Cro Cop and knocked him out. So then I had to fight McDonald, and then I knocked him out.
Okay.
So then I never got that. But I think that was the last real dominant K1 champion you guys had. And then it fizzled off.
That's too bad. It really is.
But yeah, I'd like to bring it back.
Hey, hopefully, man. I know they started sanctioning it in Minnesota like a couple of years ago, and they've only had a couple events, but I've contacted the commission. I'm like, hey, anything I can do to help promote it up this way or something? I'd love to, because me personally, I think I've been to 3 kickboxing matches in my life. So,
well, I just think you got to start with the amateurs, right? That's where you got to start. And then
definitely.
Once people go through the amateur ranks, then they get hooked. And then, but that's what I mean. A lot of promoters just want to do professional fights.
Yeah.
I think it's more of an ego thing. And I'm not really interested in professional fights right now. I just want to stick on the amateurs. And we had a very good show back in, when was it? August we had our show, and we sold out. We had 1,000 people. We had 16 fights, and it was a great event. And then now we have December 6th, our next one, at the Bomb Factory in Dallas.
That's awesome.
So we have, right now we have like 21 fights. So all amateur, kickboxing and MMA, and then during the day we have jiu-jitsu. So should
that's
be pretty
awesome.
good.
I hope it keeps growing because I'd love to watch them. I mean, last time I watched it was in the 90s. It was either 95 or 96. I know in 95 I was in California and got to see Pete Sugarfoot Cunningham fight. That was the only pro fight I got to see, and then a couple amateur ones in North Dakota. So that's it. Fingers crossed. I got a few fun questions we use to wrap up the interview, so we can go through these here. So first of all, when you were fighting, what was your MMA walk-up song? What music was playing as you took that walk into the cage or the ring?
Most of the time, I think I used DMX Intro.
Okay.
That was one of my fan favorites. And then I used to use Puff Daddy Victory as well.
Nice.
Don't use it anymore, I guess. Puff Daddy been problems, but back then, it was Puff Daddy Victory, which is kind of like a bit of a Rocky theme, and then it turned into that.
So if you had to pick one now, would you pick the same, or would you probably come up with something different?
No, I thought I was saying different now. I think being a bit older and different, I have a completely different aspect of, before it was saying I needed for my mindset to kind of get me in that place, whereas now I could come out with no music, it wouldn't matter. Nice.
All right. Who are 3, 4, 5 names you'd put on your personal Mount Rushmore of martial arts?
Oh, geez. Kickboxing would be Ernesto Hust.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And Jerome Labana.
Okay.
MMA, Demetrius Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people talk about GSP and Fedor and stuff, which is I had the pleasure of training with both of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, I think I'd go with Fedor then GSP after that. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. That's a good Mount Rushmore. All right.
Yeah.
How about a favorite martial arts book?
I love Drysdale's book, actually. I'm not going to pump him up, but his background on jiu-jitsu was actually a fantastic book. There's a lot of stuff in there I didn't actually know about it. And I love that he had the inkling to go back and put it out there exactly what jiu-jitsu is really about. I like it. All right. Now, this one you may or may not have an answer for. Do you have a favorite martial arts video game? Did you ever get into gaming when you were younger? You know what? I never really got into gaming too much. I really didn't. I remember when I had Nintendo, I had the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I used to play that quite a bit. Yep. Yeah. Actually, about a dozen people have picked that game, so that's a good one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. How about a favorite martial arts TV show? TV show. I mean, the old Chuck Norris ones were the best. Corny as shit, but I like them.
Yeah, like
when he was like the
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Texas Ranger. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Well, hey, and you live by Dallas now, so you know,
yeah, I'm right here now, so I don't see him anymore, unfortunately. But there you go.
That's cool. All right, how about a favorite martial arts movie?
Do you know what? You got to go back. I used to always like there's always like, the Kickboxer and stuff like that. But there was Big Trouble in Little China. Remember that movie?
Oh yeah, I've interviewed a couple people from that. Yeah,
it was a funny movie, but it had a twist to it too, and it was pretty good. I always like that kind of movies.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. So okay, all right. Now it doesn't have to be a martial arts movie. Any movie you've seen in your whole life, a favorite movie fight scene.
Geez, to be honest, most of them pretty suck, right? Most of the fight scenes are pretty such bullshit. I mean, yeah, to be honest, I can't really say I've seen a fight scene in the movie that I thought like, oh wow, that looks so real. Do you know what? There was one movie, actually, I'm going to tell, I forget the name of it. It was a guy from New Zealand, and he's, what was the name of that movie? It was like an old indie movie, but a New Zealand guy, like a Maori guy in great shape.
Okay.
And he's in a bar. He's actually not a good guy. He's an alcoholic and beats his wife a little bit. Jake something. And yeah, he beats up a couple of guys in the bar, big bodybuilders, and he was like, "Yeah, too much weight. Speed is your key. You're not fast enough." And he beats the shit. But the fight scene was actually very realistic. It was like a real bar fight. But yeah, that was the only one of the ones I actually saw that was like, wow, that was close to a bar fight, real how it really looks.
Was that Jake Ryan?
Jake Ryan? No,
no. Okay.
No,
I know he's from Australia, but I know he's done movies and stuff.
Yeah, he looks like a big Maori guy.
Okay.
I forget the name of the movie. I'll have to look it up. I'll find it.
Yeah, if you find it, let me know.
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
Final question. So, over your whole career, you fought in a lot of cool events, a lot of great people. Is there one fighter that you wish you could have fought you didn't get to?
I would like, not that I didn't, I would like to have fought Roy Nelson again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was really lucky to fight a lot of good guys, but Roy Nelson, when I fought him was in the end, my last fight in the Ultimate Fighter show. And to be honest, when I'm usually about to fight, I usually can't wait to fight, like to wake up that day, like can't wait. I just couldn't wait to get home.
Oh, wow.
That day, like, just get this fight done. I want to get the fuck out of here. Plus, I sparred with Roy a bunch in the house, and like, he wasn't much to spar with. He was, a bit slow, whatever. He has that heavy right hand, but I didn't even know who he was back then. Like, I knew nothing about MMA, right? So, when I took the fight, I teed him up so many times in sparring, I really never took him serious.
Okay.
And then, of course, I'd seen him fight, but he was just a one-trick pony, punch, take it down, crucifix. And that's kind of what he did to me.
Okay.
So I wish I would have had some coaching staff that would have taught me how to escape a crucifix or at least stop it from happening. And then, had a real fight camp to actually train someone of that level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
My focus would have been way better.
That's awesome. All right. Before I let you go, is there anything I forgot to ask you, or we just want to get out there really quick before we wrap it up? No,
I really appreciate it. And then I'm really sorry we have to kind of cut it a little bit short. Just I didn't realize it was going to be like an hour and a half or whatever. But we can always touch base and touch into some other things if you ever get some conversations about Thailand more, if you want to know more about how it's like to train in the Netherlands, or when I first come to America, or, we can always talk about that again. We can do a part 2 if you wish. But no, I think we covered a lot of the options, and I really appreciate your time and great questions, and everyone for listening.
Hey, seriously, I truly appreciate your time, and I think the listeners are really going to love this one.
Oh, thank you, sir. Have a great day. Take care.
Wrap up today's episode by taking your own training to the next level with Martial Theory by Steve Perlman, the book that's redefining martial arts thinking. Find Martial Theory on Amazon today. Join the worldwide movement at martialtheoryu.com, where you'll find Q&A sessions, live events, and direct guidance from Steve himself. Use code EverydayMA for 20% off for life. That's martialtheoryu.com, code EverydayMA. Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.